Casey?
Yes. Yep.
All right, we'll call this meeting to order. My name is Tim Clare, and I am the vice chair, but the mayor is home ill today, so she will not be here. To my right is Tom Beckius from the City Council, and notice of the open meetings laws are posted on the back wall there. Public comment will be allowed for each item today. Individuals from the audience will be given a total of 5 minutes to speak on specific items listed on today's agenda. Those testifying should identify themselves for the official record. With that, Casey, do you want to start with number 3, and then we'll move forward?
Approval of the minutes from the JPA special meeting held July 25th, 2024.
So moved.
I'll second. There's no corrections?
No
either?
corrections, sir.
Okay. All right. Call the roll.
Claire,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
motion carried 2-0. The next item, approval of the payment register for April through July 2024 and review of the expenditure report as of July 31st, 2024.
Hi, Steve Hupka, interim city finance director and by default treasurer of the West Haymarket JPA. Just a few things I would point out for the record here on the payment register. David Schuler prepared a nice summary of things, but $6.6 million of semi-annual bond interest was paid. We have a December bond interest and principal payment that'll be due. There's $1,500,000 to Lincoln Youth Sports Complex for Sandhills Global. They have the naming rights. That was a second annual payment, I believe, that we've got 6 total coming up, that including this one. There's $978,379 to the District Energy Corp. $724,000 was billed back to customers throughout the West Haymarket area. There was $819,000 to the City of Lincoln for parking management, and $970,901 was collected in parking revenue. And beyond that, I think there was some equipment purchases and so on that are relatively routine, and other expenditures of pretty routine nature on the payment register.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
No questions.
Okay, is there questions from the public?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. Mr. Hubka, are you saying that there is more money to go to the youth complex? And they paid $1 million, right, already?
$1.5 million in this period. I think there was a payment a year ago.
Yeah, that was $1 million, I think.
I think it was $1.5 million.
Was it 5?
You
Okay.
might be right. I think payments go through 2028 annually.
Of how much?
1.5 million each time.
Okay. And that is, they're paying that to Sandhills Global?
They're paying it to the organization that's building the complex. And Sandhills Global has naming rights for that complex, but the payments do not go to Sandhills Global.
Okay. To a contractor?
Yeah, well, to the organization who pays the contractor.
Okay. And there is a deficit, well, I'll go into that later. Does all the money from the occupation tax designated to take care of the arena?
Yes, and other parts of the West Haymarket as well.
Okay. So it's just for maintenance then?
Well, it's for debt service primarily. That's the number one priority, is to pay the bonds and interest, the principal and interest.
And so when does the occupation tax end?
I think it's in 2045
Okay, when the bonds,
when the bonds are paid off.
okay.
Yes.
So what is the plan to pick up the maintenance then, costs?
That is beyond a period of time that I've looked at this point.
Okay. So the occupation tax will not be there to take care of the maintenance. So they'll have to come up with a plan to maintain the arena.
Yeah, there's other revenues in the budget. We've got interest income, rental income's a big one. It's $3 million.
Okay.
That includes, I believe that includes premium seating.
Okay,
And we have parking revenue.
okay,
And then we have operations of the arena itself.
okay. The profit that they make,
If they make a profit, yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
right, okay. Has that been meeting the coverage, or have they've taken money out of the occupation tax then?
Well, we've provided a $600,000 increment, operating increment, we call it,
Okay.
for years. And in the last fiscal year, the operations were successful enough that that was returned to the JPA.
Okay,
And in all likelihood, for the year that we're just finishing up, that operational increment will be returned again.
okay.
And we're hoping that in the future budget, we hope in the next
The
fiscal.
plan is to do 600 every year?
Yeah, and once again, if the operations are successful enough, we can have the hope that it comes back to the JPA, and that was certainly something that didn't happen in the early years, but it's happening most recently.
But there's a deficit in the budget for the JPA.
We will be drawing down the balance somewhat to pay the operating budget and the capital improvements, but we'll get into that here in a few
Okay.
minutes on the next agenda item.
1 minute.
So I would like people to know who are listening in here that when they go to the arena, they are paying it 3 times for the ticket, for the state who kicks in money to take care of the arena with the turnback tax, and also for their occupation tax that they pay on their ticket.
Steve, you're looking for approval of the payment register? You're looking for approval of the payment register? Okay. Any other questions or comments?
No other questions. I'll move approval.
Okay, I'll second.
Claire?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Motion carried, 2-0. Next item is bill number WH 24-34, resolution to approve the proposed operating budget and capital improvement program for the West Haymarket JPA for September 1st, 2024 through August 31st, 2025.
Once again, Steve Hupke. I'd like to go over a few of the financial matters related to the JPA in general. I've been gone for 8 years, and I've gotten brought up to date a little bit here in recent times. As of today, the JPA has a net cash and investment balance of $51.7 million. If we didn't take in another dollar in revenue in the next fiscal year, we could cover the $44.8 million budget that we're proposing today, and covering debt service, capital improvements, and operations, or we have enough dollars there to cover 2.5 years of debt service. Now, obviously, we're going to be taking in a large amount of revenue in the next year, but the point is we're in a very strong position right now. In the budget, we're anticipating $22.7 million in occupation tax revenue. Going back to the original projections for the project, which were put together by Don Hers and assumed a 2% growth from year to year, we wouldn't have reached that amount of occupation tax revenue until 2044, or about the time that the bonds are going to be paid off and the occupation tax expires. Some highlights of the budget, as I mentioned with Ms. Kinsey's questions, we're anticipating that $600,000 operating increment provided in this current fiscal year, which we're just finishing up, will likely be returned to the JPA, as the operations have been very successful. And I believe that took place last year as well, and thanks to our operators for making that possible. That's certainly good news. We also included in the budget another $600,000 to go to the operations, and with hopes that, and the goal that maybe next year at the same time it will also be returned to us. On the expenditure side of things, most of the expenditures in the budget are similar to prior years, the notable exception being the repair and maintenance and the capital improvement program, which total about $10.5 million. The biggest single part of the increase, which is typically more in the $2 to $4 million range, is a new scoreboard budgeted at $6 million. Another large item is $825,000 for the first lease payment for Wi-Fi infrastructure upgrades. The building's 11 years old. A $10.5 million expenditure for a building this age is about 6% of the original construction cost of the building. And as we talked about, Tim, it's similar to the percentage of a new roof might be to a modest home. So for an 11-year-old building, things do need to be upgraded.
And maintained. Upgraded and maintained.
Yes, and maintained, very true. I think the anticipation was always that the building would be maintained in a first-rate condition and brought up to modern standards. And obviously, technology has changed a lot in 11 years, and some of the things in the budget reflect that. So if there are any other questions on details on, especially on the capital improvements and maintenance and repair budget, Tim's here, I think. Yeah. To answer any questions. There's a lot of items in there, and we've gone over them.
Perfect. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. Tim, can I have you come up?
How you doing? Tim Savona with Pinnacle Bank Arena, ASM Global Management.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Steve had mentioned it, and there are a couple of the bigger line item, or a couple of the larger items here on our maintenance and improvement plan. Could you talk a little bit first about the Wi-Fi plan?
Yeah, so currently the building's Wi-Fi, internet, and networking structure just aged, outdated. It's unable to keep up with the current pace of operations. We explain it as internet coming in, if it comes through a pipe, the pipe is only this big, and given today's nature, it needs to be, X amount bigger. And then upon that internet entering the facility, it feeds all these networks and switches around the entire facility that control anything from our HVAC systems to our security procedures, our security cameras and systems, to our food and beverage point of sales, to our office PCs and so forth. So all those things are just tired, aging, and faltering. In addition to that, you have the Wi-Fi component. And Wi-Fi is something we've come to expect in this day and age. People expect to be able to get on their phone on a Wi-Fi or get a signal or make a call home or be able to interact with those that aren't in the facility. And so all of this combined will allow us a modern day ability to do that, as well as future-proof us for what we expect to be some time. Another component that why this is necessary is when we host large-scale events, if we focus on Husker basketball, for instance, sure. You have a lot of media there. You have a lot of television. These games are on live TV and broadcast nationwide. A lot of them rely on our network system, and being able to be adequate, being able to keep up with the times and the traffic and the loads that come in on that, the volume. If it's the media sitting courtside, they're unable to, do certain things unless they kind of maybe connect a hard wire. Well, this day and age, how many laptops even have a hardwired Ethernet?
Sure.
So just a series of examples about, why this is important, and, it's going to certainly enhance the fan experience, but also the customer experience and the client experience when you think about whether it be live televised sporting events, whether it be concerts, whether it be, you name it. So it's something we're due for, and these modifications have been happening quite frequently around the country, including, I think, Huskers just went through one themselves.
Sure. Absolutely. I think anyone in the world understands that technology is growing at a fast pace, and even to maintain what we had still is an upgrade. So I'm looking forward to an enhanced user experience, let alone a client experience as well.
Absolutely.
Before I move on, Mr. Clare, did you have any questions about the Wi-Fi that you wanted to?
No, again, my thinking on this is we have to have an outstanding fan experience. We have to have, because that enables you to sell more tickets, and we've had that. We've got to upgrade to stay with technology. I think we need to provide that for the artists and the other programs that are coming. They're going to use that material as well for broadcasting their own future shows at different venues. And if we don't provide top-notch service in all aspects, and I love to hear the artists at the end of the show say this is one of the greatest venues they've ever performed in, and that's what we have to maintain. And that's been the goal since this building was started and completed back in 2013. So I'm very pleased with what you're doing and trying to keep up and trying to continue to enhance the fan experience.
Appreciate that. Many people contributing to that.
Intervene.
Tim, the next thing I wanted to ask about, just because I think it's the larger item here is going to be the scoreboard. That's it's a big ticket item, but I think sometimes people forget what all goes into a scoreboard and the sheer size of what we're talking about. Can you describe for us a little bit about what a replacement scoreboard would look like, feel like, from a user experience look like, that sort of thing?
Yeah, well, I believe in the original projections for the venue, a scoreboard was kind of earmarked for year 10.
Yep.
If this gets done as planned next summer, that would be year 12. So a little bit of legway out of it. The current board is wonderful. It looks good. But the manufacturer doesn't exist anymore. And what we're starting to run into, what we've been running into, is these boards have panels. And if you've ever been to an event and you see a panel go out, you see like a black box in the picture. That's what ultimately that is. There's a fancier term for it than a panel, but we can't get those panels. We've been able to, obviously get by, and we can scrounge eBay or, Amazon to try to find them here and there. But we're kind of in a survival mode on the hardware. And it's time to move on. Technology does change, and we'll have gotten 12 years out of it. The new board will be state-of-the-art technology. So this will encompass the center hung scoreboard. It will encompass the ribbon board that goes around the stands, and it will also encompass the courtside LED display that you see on television, where the announcers.
So really, all of the major pieces of that visual experience are being replaced.
Yep, all of them, all at once. Currently, the scoreboard, if you can imagine it, there's a big crown at the top, and then it gets smaller in a box shape, which is like the TV. And then below that, there's a little circle that's like a halo. The TV portion of that scoreboard is about 18 by 18 in size. Feet. Mm-hmm. That's about how big it is on each side to look at. So if you're looking at the screen, 18 by 18. This new board will be 33 by 25 to 35 by 28. So significantly larger in scale.
I'm sorry, Tim, will you say that again? How big again?
33 by 25 or 35 by 28. So on the small end, we're looking at 33 by 25 versus 18 by 18. So it's a substantial increase. It'll still fit in our hole in the ceiling. We are recycling the existing hoist. That is what makes the board go up and down. Part of the reason we don't know on the small size versus the big size is there's some components regarding weight that we need to make sure in the final bid process that we can stay under. So our intent is to maximize within our scale. We are also recycling the Pinnacle Bank Arena sign that's on the current board. That'll go on the new board. The look and feel will be different. This will be more of a rounded shape. It'll be solid video all around. Underneath the scoreboard, There will be a video screen that ultimately looks like a TV. So if you're sitting in the first 15 rows, you don't have to gawk your neck back real far to see the board. You can see what we call an underbelly. You know, a lot of NBA stadiums have stuff like that right now. As far as the quality, currently the board is 1 million pixels. The new one will be 7 million pixels, which is high def times 7. The video board itself today is 6 millimeters. It's going to go to 4 millimeters. The ribbon board is 16 millimeters. It's going to go to 10 millimeters. So that's just improving the picture, the quality of the picture, the tightness, the colors, the clarity. And then the scores table is going to go from 10 millimeters to 4 millimeters. So significant change, significant upgrade, and you know we have a big time tenant in the University of Nebraska, and we're gonna play at a big time level here with this.
I think this kind of significant improvement is exactly the type of thing that keeps Pinnacle Bank Arena current and keeps our fans' experience very, very high by keeping those upgrades going. So thank you, Tim. That was all the question I had. I wanted to talk about the scale of the project, what we were talking about, so that folks who had some questions could get some answers there. Because you know this is a big boy. This is not the television you put up in your living room. Of course,
Right.
This is quite the piece of technology.
It's like a bicycle to a Ferrari.
Mr. Clare, that's all the questions I had.
Thank you. Are there questions from the public?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. Yes, you talk like a bunch of rich people. The average person, or I should say the median income in Lincoln, Nebraska is $64,000. People at that level and below cannot go out and buy new tech items. They can't afford to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. So you are talking to people who are upper income. Students probably come from families that make more than $64,000 unless they've gotten a scholarship as a free student attendant. So what you're saying is out of touch with reality for the people of this city. As I said, you talk like feds, the federal government, who says you need a hybrid or an electric car, but we're not going to pay for it. You have to pay for it when it's 2 and 3 times what you could buy for just a regular gas car. We need some reality here. I'm not sure that the leaders of this city are looking at being careful with the money that you have to spend, or that the taxes that you have to pay for, and that you have to go to the food bank, and that you have to draw money out of your savings just for living expenses. So definitely the arena is made for the wealthy in Lincoln, or those who are willing to sacrifice money for basics in order to be able to go there. The university is in trouble financially, and yet they want all of this window dressing, which doesn't really make sense either. How are you going to attract people who don't have a lot of money to pay for your education? So it's a sad situation that the leadership has not looked at being careful. You know, you can buy many things on a discount. I don't hear anything about that. Sometimes even the lowest bid is not taken. And we'd have to go back and look at each one of these items. It's almost $20 million. So we're living here on the hope that there will be no crash, that there will be high living for those who have money. One time I would like to hear, and my group would like to hear, that, gee, we really are being very careful. We don't have to keep up with the Joneses. We don't have to spend money, even though we have it, and that it's
1
flowing
minute.
in.
Okay, any further comments from you, Tom?
No, no further comments.
Okay, I just want to make one comment. You know, this entire West Haymarket project was voted and approved by the city, and it's incumbent upon us to build the top quality facility, which I believe we did, and not only the arena but the surrounding area. And I remind people we got it done 7 weeks early and $22 million under what was projected to be spent on it. And Caleb, you were around back then, and you know what I'm talking about. So I think we have been very, very fiscally responsible. We had an occupation tax that was put in place, and the occupation tax has exceeded significantly where we thought it was going to be. I believe we're probably 12 to 13 to 14 years ahead of where we anticipated being. So we have been very, very prudent with our money. We've been very disciplined, and I think it would be against what the taxpayers want when we let a facility that the bonds that were taken out and the formula that was put together to pay for this project and ultimately pay it off, I believe, 2045? If we let this building go and not take top quality care of it. So I am very proud of what we've accomplished. I'm very proud of what the team has done together collectively to build and maintain a high quality project that attracts high quality artists. It attracts high quality shows. It's a tremendous partnership, and we've done I think very, very good work for the past 13 years, 11 years of which has been with the project in operation. So those are my comments about the budget.
Mr. Clare, I'd move approval of WH 2434.
I will second.
Claire?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. Next item is bill number WH 24-35, resolution to approve an agreement between the West Haymarket JPA and Project Control of Texas for construction management services for a term of September 1st, 2024 through August 31st, 2025, with costs not to exceed $50,000.
Thank you. Johansi Christie, City Attorney, 555 South 10th Street. This is very similar to the prior contract that we had with Project Control, similar to the renewals. The projects, I think, are listed in there. And again, this is a cost not to exceed $50,000. I believe that was also the number on the prior contract, and I also believe that Project Control did not reach the $50,000 limit on the last contract. Caleb is here to answer any more question that you might have, and can also provide additional details as needed, but we are asking for your approval.
Questions?
No questions.
I would just make a comment again that Project Control has been with us since the start, and they've done tremendous work. Are there comments from the public?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. And was this bid to be for an agreement for this put out to other companies?
No.
Okay, so we don't know if that's a good price or not because if it was not bid, perhaps other companies could have done it cheaper than that. So again, we have issues with the way the taxpayers' money is being spent. I'd also like to say that the people did not vote for all of this. Last time I read a copy that came from the Lancaster County company that puts issues on the ballot, and we did not vote for the Haymarket. We voted for the arena alone, and all of this has been spread out to be bigger than that because you have money from the occupation tax, which is a double duty for people that live here. It adds to their budget.
Okay, anybody else from the public?
See no one else, I'll move approval of WH 2435.
I'll second.
Claire?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. Next item is bill number WH 24-36. Resolution to approve the letter agreement to engage Forvis to perform an audit of the West Haymarket JPA financial statements in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards for the year ended August 31st, 2024.
Thank you. This is the standard letter to engage Forvis auditor to perform our audit this next upcoming year. So I think they've certainly performed an audit for us before, but again, this is just the standard agreement to engage in them to start that process, and so we'd ask for your approval. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions.
Great. You have any questions?
No questions.
Is there anybody from the audience?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. So was this put out to bid?
I'd be happy to double check that, although I don't believe that it was, but I can certainly double check that.
Yeah, I believe that
Thank you.
when I've asked questions before, they don't even know how many years this company has been an auditor of the finances down.
These type of services are usually done with a request for proposal. Price is not the only factor in hiring a firm. Their qualifications are the number one consideration. This particular firm used to be Baird Kurtz and Dobson, and they've gone through some name changes.
Last year.
And they're also engaged to do the city audit, and they're also engaged to do the water and wastewater and landfill audits.
University.
And the West Haymarket JPA is what's called a component unit of the city's audit, so it makes perfectly good sense to have the same auditing firm do the whole package. They also do a federal single audit as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, it depends on whose sense you're looking at. The taxpayers expect careful handling of their money, and that's the bottom line, is the pennies. So really, when this happens with that kind of sense, it's a good old boy system where one hand washes the other. And I'm sorry to say that in the United States, in government, that is what happens. But I would like to see Lincoln be different and set a standard and example for other people, but I suppose that's hopeless. What we need to do is elect people who are going to have that sense and that frame of mind, because there's a lot of waste when there isn't sound financial business systems where we can expect the lowest bid. The average family doesn't go out and get services without looking at bids if they're wise in managing their money. So it's a big disappointment.
Anybody else from the public?
Seeing no one else, I would move approval of WH 2436.
A second.
Claire,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. The next item is bill number WH 24-37, resolution to approve an amendment to memorandum of understanding between the West Haymarket JPA and Voss Electric Company, DBA Voss Lighting, for electrical equipment, bulbs, and ballasts for the Pinnacle Bank Arena pursuant to MOU 186 for an amount not to exceed $100,000.
Yes, thank you. I believe both 8 and 9 are, I think, the way that I understand it, they are related. They are both dealing with lighting upgrades that need to happen with the arena for a lot of the reasons that we've already talked about today. I believe Tim Savona is here to answer specific questions about any specific questions about the lighting that you may have and provide additional details as well. But we are asking for approval.
So 2437 and 2438 were, it was determined by legal that they were essentially duplicative. So 2438 was pulled and 2437 is the sole remaining item. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And you're asking for approval on 2437?
Correct.
All right. Are there any comments?
No.
Anybody from the public?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. Could you explain exactly what this amounts to?
Ryan Weiss, Pinnacle Bank Arena. I'm sorry, I forgot the amount. So number 8 was the agreement of what I was originally thinking that was going to cost us to do at the $100,000 mark. Then the quote came in at 97. So it's really $3,000 less than what it needs to be.
And could you detail the work to be done?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Give us a detail of the work that will be done here.
These are just for the fixtures alone.
Right.
So on the main concourse and on our P event level, there is incandescent light bulbs currently, and this adds the effect of LED lighting, which of course reduces our energy costs and our energy savings in those areas, and also on part of the concourse as well. So these are different fixtures we've kind of priced out as part of fan experience, different things like that, to kind of overall better the arena.
And the existing fixtures being replaced are at end of life?
They're end of life, or they don't take LED anymore. They don't have the ability to be LED. So,
Very good, thank you.
yeah, thank you.
So in order to keep up with expectations, why you have to do this, in your desire to make this in line with what the federal government is telling us, and also to again have a wealthy attitude towards what you can expect and what you cannot expect. I doubt that people would notice there was any difference from the old system and the new system. I realize that you have to replace items as they wear out. But are they really wearing out? It sounded like some of this was not in that. And perhaps you have two different companies here too. So you've already paid for LED system.
Anybody else from the public?
Seeing no one else coming forward, I would move approval of WH 2437.
Second.
Claire,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. The next item is bill number WH 24-39, resolution to approve a contract between the West Haymarket JPA and Musco Sports Lighting for the purchase of the main concourse lighting control system for the Pinnacle Bank Arena for a sum not to exceed $58,000.
All right, thank you. Again, this is more necessary lighting that is needed, although I think, that, as it states there, it's about the concourse, and I think Ryan or someone else from the Pinnacle Bank Arena team could answer some more specific questions if needed. But we are asking for your approval. This is necessary upgrades that needs to happen to the facility. So I'd be happy to try to answer any questions you may have for me as well.
Why don't we have Ryan come on up, if that's okay? And Ryan, this states that it's for a lighting control system. Could you just give people a little bit more information as to what a lighting control system is and what it does for the arena?
So a few years ago, right before COVID happened, we upgraded the Musco system into all complete LED system. We upgraded that, and then the control panel, in order to add a little bit more DMX that controls the color side of things, or controls all aspects of what we can do for the Arena Bowl and the current lighting or new lighting project that we're working on. This allows us to change the colors and do different things like that. In order to do that, we had to expand it. The nice thing about going back to Musco was that we were able to extend our warranty, or was able to tie into our warranty. So it never affected our 10-year warranty that we have with Musco, but we just, by upgrading that box, it gave us more ability to do more things throughout the arena and throughout the Arena Bowl. So,
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Tim.
Other members of the public would like to speak?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. Again, it's we have to have the best. We have to be modern. We have to keep up with the Joneses. Is this desired to make this arena match what they have in Omaha? You wonder about that, since there is a attitude in Lincoln that we have to have the best and we have to keep up with Omaha. There's nothing more to be said about that, except that it's easy to spend the taxpayers' money.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public?
Seeing no one else coming forward, I'd move approval of 2439.
Second.
Claire,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. Next item is bill number WH 24-40, resolution to approve a third amendment to contract between the West Haymarket JPA and Interconnects for an increase of $50,000, bringing the total amount not to exceed to $145,000 for physical access and control system equipment and services for the Pinnacle Bank Arena pursuant to MOU 178.
Thank you. This, and I know that we have someone coming up to provide more details, but this is a contract to, I believe this handles this security and such as the security card access and some other related items dealing with access and security as well. I think that this was talked about at the last meeting that was approved, and I believe it was 90,000. Obviously, you can do the math, and I think this finishes out the total upgrade or maintenance, if you will, of this system, which again, as it states, there is 145,000. We're asking for your approval, and I think Ryan will come up and provide some more details.
Ryan Weiss, Pinnacle Bank. Yeah, so the last meeting was the whole entire card access system, and then we were trying to finalize the quote for the switches and the software program that happened with that. We did happen to fall under the university's bidding process of that, following that state contract as well with interconnects. But this improves our liability on as far as our cameras go and the card access system, and improves us for the next decade or so. So it's more of the plug and play and what they needed to do this. So thank you.
Questions?
No, sir.
Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. So did they agree to guarantee this for 10 years at that price?
I mean, nothing's a guarantee, but I mean, we take care of our equipment really well, so I do believe that it will last us that long. Our current switches have lasted 10 years, so it's nice that the security equipment upgrade portion of this will last us another 10.
And is this the same company?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is an addition?
This is an addition. This is what this was the other piece that we needed to complete it. And we were just trying to finalize all the quotes. Yes, ma'am.
And you knew about it ahead of time?
Yes, ma'am.
And why didn't it come up before? Or you
It
don't
came
know?
up during the last meeting.
But it wasn't this amount. This was an addition.
We knew that this amount would come, and we did say that it was going to be around the $45,000 mark during the last meeting, and it ended up falling right at that.
Okay. So the original bid was let out or the original project was let out for bids?
Yes.
And this is the company that took them?
Yes.
And they gave you the whole price?
They gave us the whole price, and then we were analyzing everything with them as well.
Okay. It was the same?
Yes.
Okay.
Anyone else from the public?
See no one else coming forward, and move approval WH 2440.
I'll second.
Claire,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. The next item is bill number WH 24-41, resolution authorizing the chairperson to execute a subscription agreement with Evolve Technologies for the acquisition of metal detectors for the Pinnacle Bank Arena for a total sum of $404,419.28 to be paid over the course of 4 years.
All right, thank you. Again, we do have some of the experts from the Pinnacle Bank Arena that could certainly explain this in more detail and answer questions, but this is an agreement, somewhat of a unique agreement that involves 4 parties. UNL, University actually has an agreement with Evolve. ASM Global also has an agreement with Evolve, and then we were able to all work out an agreement between the 4 of us to get us really the best deal possible is what that actually does, quite frankly. We're calling it a subscription agreement for 4 years. I think of it almost like it's very similar to a lease, 4 years. So I think that during that 4 years, they will, obviously maintain it and take care of it. And at the end of the 4 years, I think we'll have an option to purchase it or enter into another subscription agreement. So again, very similar to how you would think of a lease, like with a car or something like that. We are asking for your approval, again, I know we have some people that here that could explain it more detail, but my understanding is this is really moving us into next era, if you will, of technology, and will really help the fan experience, customer experiences, and will help with efficiency as far as how people are able to go through the metal detectors, not remove all of their keys and phones and those sorts of things. So happy to do my best to answer any questions you may have for me.
I would be interested in hearing Tim Savona talk about the unfortunate need for these
Okay.
metal detectors in the entertainment and sports fields.
Tim Savona with Pinnacle Bank Arena. Yeah, years ago, we applied metal detector use at our facilities. It used to be maybe not as common, then it became really common, then it became essentially mandatory with some of the larger events. A lot of the shows we do that are concert related require this as a function of hosting an event to have metal detectors and security screenings of this sort. The day and age we live in, there's always threats out there. It's something I don't even like to talk about publicly just because, you don't want to overspook anything, but the reality is real and it's there. And anytime you have large gatherings of people together, you need to be doing everything in your ability to provide a safe atmosphere to the greatest potential possible. Everything we do out there is a safety first, fan experience second type of initiative, whether it be security cameras, whether it be day-to-day procedures. Metal detectors, our goal with this process is to be pretty consistent with how we do every event, regardless of what that event may be. We feel that this growth, this evolution of technology will allow us to do that in a much swifter nature, but also in a safe and effective nature. This entity itself is in many NFL stadiums and NHL arenas and things of that sort. They're the leader in the industry right now, and safety first, fan experience right behind it. I think we check all those boxes here.
Well, thank you for the update. It's an unfortunate situation that we're in nationally and internationally, but I'm pleased that we're moving forward, assuming this gets approved with high tech, high safety, so that not only can the artists and the teams perform without any fear, but also that the fans can enjoy, again, a tremendous experience as well.
Absolutely.
So, thank you. Yes, please.
Tim, sorry, before you go. Actually, I first encountered this particular technology at Bryan LGH. So it's deployed even in our hospital system here in Lincoln.
Interesting.
And so that's where I first came into having an experience with this particular company. But one thing I also wanted to clarify, Mr. Christie had made reference to the subscription service being kind of like a lease, but my understanding is as well is that due to the nature of the technology here, that the hardware is constantly being updated with new software as their analysis and software is updated, that our systems will continuously update as well. Is that correct? That new rollouts will happen as?
That's correct. Everything in this subscription agreement is covered, barring any negligence on our part, from dropping off the back of a truck. But the data, the equipment itself is in the agreement. The software updates are in the agreement.
Sure.
And again, to use the car analogy, a lot of cars these days have a lot more tech, and they require software updates. Or if you get your oil change, there's a software update component to that. This is no different, and it uses a lot of AI technology, and it's constantly pushing, the latest and greatest. Or use your phone example. Are you ready to upgrade your software?
So really the product that we're buying now is not going to be the same. We're going to have an enhanced product after year one, after year two, after year three.
Yeah, potentially week to week, month to month.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you, Tim. Are there comments from the public?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. Yes, of course, as everyone, we would agree that safety first is important. In fact, this should be the first item of expense rather than these other items. I'd like to know if the staff has training about an attempted situation of danger.
Tim Savona with Pinnacle Bank Arena. Yes, we do have a security department in-house, full-time, and we do active training on anything from a fire drill to, every few years, active shooter drills and things of that sort, emergency evacuation procedures. So yes, we have training across a lot of fronts with a lot of people in-house on a day-to-day basis who are aware.
And so this is like metal detectors when people come in. Does it scan the community while a performance is going on, or is this just for people entering and exiting?
This equipment is just upon entry, so we're making sure that, the idea is to protect any threats from entering the facility.
Okay.
On your person. So it's on an individual basis as you enter the doors.
Okay, similar to what other public buildings have now, and okay. So why is it so expensive?
Well, it's I don't know that I can answer that per se. I can tell you that there's 3 other companies out there, and they were all vetted and quoted.
Okay.
It's a change technology. We have some now, and the ones we're going to are very different.
How many entrances do you have that you have to have medical detectors?
We have 2 primary public entries, the north and the south, and then we have a premium entrance as well. So I would say 2.5, but technically it's 3 locations.
Okay.
And these are done by lanes, and they're priced by lane.
Okay. So this will all be one purchase, but you're going to get 4 years to pay it, or the board is going to have 4 years to pay it?
Correct. It's paid annually across 4 years,
Okay.
totaling 404. So
But they're going to
roughly
be
100 a
doing
year.
something over 4 years, adding something to it or not?
There's constant software updates being pushed through. They upkeep the equipment should anything go wrong in that. Again, using a similarity to a lease type agreement.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else from the public?
Seeing no one else, I'd move approval of WH 2441.
Second.
Claire,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
motion carried 2-0. The next item is bill number WH 24-42. Resolution authorizing the chairperson to issue a purchase order to Wired Inc. for the purchase and installation of concourse cloud lighting for the Pinnacle Bank Arena for a sum not to exceed $28,106.
Yes, so this is the contract, the agreement for installation of the light bulbs, and I don't know if there's any more questions about that, but we obviously have a representative from the Pinnacle Bank Arena that can certainly provide more details if needed, but we are asking for your approval.
Why don't you have Ryan come up and
Okay.
give a little bit more detail?
Go ahead, yeah, thank you. We got 2 mics.
Ryan Weiss, Pinnacle Bank Arena. Yeah, this is just a contractor to install the fixtures that are licensed electricians. We did go out to, I received 3 quotes from 3 other companies in town, keeping it all local, fun things like that. So we wanted to, I reached out to 3, I got their quotes, and Wired Inc. was the lowest bidder on this project. And so once the fixtures get in, they'll just come in and install them.
The scope is explain the scope. I don't know that I understand.
The scope is to remove all existing non-LED fixtures and then to wire each fixture back up into the existing power. No new power will have to be ran, and then they'll run it into they'll take the DMX portion of each fixture and run it to the new Musco panel that you guys approved earlier today. So pretty simple, straightforward. And Wired also knows the building just like anybody else in the town, so which actually helps out. So,
No questions? Okay.
Any other
thank you.
Comments from the public?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. So this is to replace the lighting you have with LED?
This just installs number 9 that was already approved. This is to install number 9 on the agenda.
Okay. Number 9
Which was the lighting
the
fixtures.
purchase.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And this is the installation cost?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is this the same company?
This is a different company. This is the electricians that.
Oh, Wired in.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
These are electricians that are here in town.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else from the public?
Seeing no one else coming forward, I'd move to approve WH 2442.
I'll second.
Claire,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
motion carried 2-0. The next meeting date will be held Thursday, December 19th, 2024 at 2:30 PM here in council chambers.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I would move for adjournment.
I'll second.
Claire,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Thank you.